Hello.
Hi.
Okay. So my name's Karl Smith. I'm a professor of political science and history at Montgomery College. And I created this renewable assignment, which I will incorporate into my political ideology class. And the idea is that in political ideology class, we already have a unit established on environmentalism and how environmental science can inform a political system. And in fact, maybe it should be shaping a political system. And so I wanted to create an assignment that reflects that and unites the idea of a environmentally centered political system with the reality of energy production. So often the critics of environmentalism say that it will require us to give up too much. Like we'll have to give up our devices, and we have to give up our cars, we have to give up eating hamburgers and things like that. So I was trying to create an assignment that would um, allow the students to investigate that possibility and look at, where our energy is coming from. Is it green? And is there any plan to shift it to something that's more green? So I'm very pleased to introduce Marianne Conte, who is a student in my political ideology class, who did this assignment. And the idea was for the students to create a visualization of where our energy comes from. And Marianne did that wonderfully. So I'm going to give the floor to her now. And so she can tell you about her assignment and what she got out of the project.
Hi, I'm Marian. I did this presentation based off of the green ideology. What it meant to me, it meant a lot to me because I was allowed to put myself in a different perspective and consider um, an environmentalist perspective and not really consider the extreme part of environmental science where people are talking about global warming, climate change, and just making, just exaggerating and being aggressive towards this approach to the environment. Um, it just made me more aware of a different type of approach to climate change, and that's energy consumption. So my presentation is about energy consumption and developing a new way to um, use energy and get your energy from a different source. And there's different types of energy sources, and I will present this. It's just this presentation just opened my mind to a lot of alternatives to what we do every day, instead of just emitting a lot of dangerous chemicals into the environment that is produced by the energy sources that we use. So I will discuss energy sources and a sustainable life. All right. Just going to present. All right.
Great. Great. You can see your slideshow now.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. We get energy from different sources. We have solar energy, solar panels that people place on their buildings, on houses. I've seen it a lot in Montgomery County. You see like this black, silver platform that sits on houses. We also use nuclear energy, geothermal energy, natural gas, petroleum, coal, and biomass. And we use these sources um, to generate electricity, cooking, manufacturing, and transportation. So this really is involved in a lot of aspects in our life. This is just an input and output graph. This one, this shows right here on your left-hand side, the colorful side. You see the energy sources. Like I said, you have petroleum, coal, natural gas, nuclear, and solar energy. And this is the US energy consumption as of 2019. And you can see where people are consuming the most energy. So like people are consuming about 36.7. So we can say that transportation is using 36.7% of petroleum in the United States, whereas the residential homes are using natural gas, such as heating the most, and also you have the industrial industry that uses a significant amount of natural gas, and you can see right here there's not a lot of there's not a thickness in the solar energy part, so we'll look into that. And you can see that there's a lot of wasted. I just want you to look at the output, the surplus energy that that we have here. So we're wasting a lot of energy. Um, there are three major point sources of energy. We have natural gas, coal, and petroleum. Um, the like I said before, the industrial industry consume more natural gas than the residential sector. Petroleum is consumed a lot in the transportation sector. One thing I would like to point out is that we are consuming way more than we are producing. The current estimate of oil reserves is 1.7 trillion barrels. The current rate of production is 32 billion per year. Natural gas reserves are estimated to last about 54 more years. So we have 54 more years of natural gas. Um, there are methods of coal extraction. We have strip mining, subsurface mining, and mountaintop removal. Industrial smog is the emission of harmful chemicals into the atmosphere. Great London Fog of 1952 is a serious case that lasted about 5 days and killed 12,000 people. And these are just examples of, strip mining. We have strip mining here, and we have fracking right here. And I'll talk about that later on. Mining for coal, factoring for oil and gas, and offshore drilling in deep waters have to stop. Many energy conservation technologies exist, such as adapting LED lighting and building material can reduce energy use and emission by 30% or more. Switching to alternative energy sources like solar energy, nuclear, and renewables can reduce emission. It can also reduce our carbon footprint. Carbon footprint expresses the amount of carbon we are responsible for emitting into the atmosphere. Reducing our carbon footprint addresses climate change and reduces the severity of climate change. It not also reduce it not all it not sorry it not also it doesn't it not just helps us reduce our impact on the environment, but it also is less expensive to us if we switch to a different energy sources. By switching to cleaner and renewable energy sources, we can preserve forests and protect soil quality. Um, we can start by using buses or trains and reduce cars on the road. This is the DC energy consumption in 2018. Um, as you can see, the major sources for energy is natural gas and petroleum. Homes use more natural gas than transportation. Transportation use more petroleum than the industrial sector. I just want you to notice it. And I'm going to compare this to the Maryland consumption graph in the next slide, and you can see the difference. You can see that there's way more energy outputs right here than DC, probably because the amount of space and population size. These are the milestones that the DC and Maryland have took towards reducing their energy consumption and carbon emission. DC increased renewable energy portfolio to require that 100% of the city electricity come from renewable energy sources by 2032, including at least 5.5% from solar energy. Almost half the electricity generated in DC came from small scale solar panels located on homes and commercial buildings throughout the city. DC ranked second among cities after LA in the most Energy Star certified buildings for energy efficiency, which includes the James V. Forrestal building, also known as the Department of Energy. Um, this is a sign that you can see on like printers, computers, that just means that they're energy sufficient. So like they're just very good at conserving energy. You see a lot of printers that just shut off and not stay on, so it won't consume a lot of power. I have a printer that has this, so I'm taking a step towards consuming energy and also saving a lot on my electricity bill. Maryland is currently the second lowest state of petroleum consumption per capita. Maryland has no crude oil reserves or production and no petroleum refineries in the state. About 11% of the state's total electricity generation come from renewables in 2019. And what this means is that Maryland is consuming more than they're producing. Since we don't have no crude oil reserves, we're taking from different output. We have a pipeline that runs through the colonial, it's called the colonial pipeline that runs through the state, and it's in the colonies, of course. And that's where we get our oil from, since we don't have no petroleum reserves and refineries in the state. This is the Montgomery County Renewable Portfolio. Montgomery County invests in renewable energy for its facilities and transportation. And we can see this in the renovation of Wheaton Library and the Recreation Center. It combines a library and recreation center. If you go by there, it's just a huge building that has a lot of windows. So windows are natural lighting, so you don't have to turn on the lights. You definitely can see that in the architecture. It's highly efficient lighting. It has electric vehicle charging ports, so it definitely um, condones and really wants you guys to use electrical vehicles and not use your gas consuming cars. Also, they have bike rinks and sidewalks, and also in front of that building, they do have a bus stop. So that's um, that's just to show what steps they're taking towards, renewable resources. Um, their transportation, they do have hybrid vehicles, electric buses. They encourage bike commuting. You have the Capital Bike Share that's near the metros. The ride-on buses, they also have Wi-Fi. So if you're commuting, you can always be on the Wi-Fi, and you don't have to, use your car. You don't have to be on if you have a presentation to do, you could just ride on the bus and do your homework. And that's what Montgomery County has in store. We do have video here. Can you hear it, Professor?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're all used to lighting up dark spaces with the flip of a switch. In fact, people have been doing so since Thomas Edison invented the incandescent light bulb about 130 years ago, and we've used that same old bulb ever since. Today, you'll see more light bulb options in stores. These bulbs will give you the light you want while saving you energy and money. Check out this bulb. It looks just like a traditional incandescent, and its light looks the same too. But this is actually an energy-saving incandescent that uses about 25% less energy. Or check out this LED. It's the latest innovation to light up our homes and offices. And most of us have already seen CFLs. Old CFLs gave off a cool blue light, but today's CFLs come in that warm, soft white color you're used to. All right, let's say you have a traditional light bulb in your living room. Put an efficient bulb in there and you get the same light, but with about 75% less energy. And Energy Star bulbs last 10 to 25 times longer than traditional bulbs. Lighting your house is no minor expense. It's about 10% of the electricity you use. If you change just 15 old bulbs to energy-saving bulbs, you'll save about $50 a year on your electric bill. Use only the most efficient bulbs and your savings go up. So, when looking for a new bulb, you'll find more energy-saving choices on store shelves, giving you more options that save you money. And that's a pretty bright idea.
Yeah, so that's a good way. That's just a good way to start or start reducing our carbon footprint. Um, and I have another video to show how fracking works, and this is very informal for people who don't know how petroleum is produced, petroleum and also natural gas. This is just one of our main energy sources, and how they're produced.
Deep underground lie stores of once inaccessible natural gas. This gas was likely formed over millions of years as layers of decaying organisms were exposed to intense heat and pressure under the Earth's crust. There's a technology called hydraulic fracturing, or fracking, that can extract this natural gas, potentially powering us for decades to come. So how does fracking work, and why is it a source of such heated controversy? A fracking site can be anywhere with natural gas, from a remote desert to several hundred feet from your backyard. It starts out with a long vertical hole, known as a well bore, drilled down through layers of sediment. When the well reaches 2,500 to 3,000 meters, it's at its kickoff point, where it can begin the process of horizontal drilling. It turns 90 degrees and extends horizontally for about 1.5 kilometers through a compressed black layer called the shale rock formation. A specialized perforating gun is then lowered and fired, creating a series of small inch-long holes that burst through the well's casing into the rock layer. About 3 to 4 months after the initial drilling, the well is ready for fracking to begin. Fracking fluid is pumped down into the well at a pressure so high it cracks the shale rock, creating fractures through which the trapped gas and oil can escape. The fluid itself is more than 90% water. The rest is made up of concentrated chemical additives. These vary depending on the specific characteristics of the fracking site, but usually fall into 3 categories. Acids for clearing debris and dissolving minerals, friction-reducing compounds to create a slippery form of water known as slick water, and disinfectant to prevent bacteria growth. Sand or clay is
Okay. So I provided a link for this video if you want to finish watching it. It just provides a general idea of how fracking works. It's very informal, and TED Talks, they do provide different videos on environmental science, and just um just to give you more information about a different perspective um, of green solutions. But that concludes my presentation. I did find this very informal, my research, because here's a link. Like I did, if you go to this website, the EIA, and yeah, we're running out of time. We don't have time to go to. Just go to this website and you can see different cities and their this one, the EIA website. You go to this website and you can see different states and what they use, how much energy they're consuming, how much money they're spending to buy energy resources. I just found this website really informal, and also you can find the graph, the this path, the Maryland and DC path, and you can find it from different states. And also, these are the resources I use. So that concludes my presentation. Thank you, Professor. I found the green ideology very informal. Um, it puts it in perspective. Like there's just different things to consider other than um, uh, greenhouse gases, and you just have to start at the source. You have to start at the source, and that's just by consuming less energy. And it won't happen over time. It will happen over time. It won't happen overnight. It just takes time, and there's no pressure. We just have to take it one step at a time. That concludes my presentation.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Marion. That was great. Could you, there we go. Great. Thank you. And I want to apologize because I'm in the basement of my house and there's a washing machine going over there on the other side of the basement. So it gets a little bit loud. I apologize for that, but I think we got a good recording, and I really appreciate the depth and the understanding. And one thing I didn't say at the beginning is that the emphasis should have been on the local energy production. And I'm so glad that that's what you focused on. And that's what I asked you all to do, was think about where our energy comes from, especially in Maryland and Montgomery County. And you did a great job doing that. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to turn off the recording now.
Okay.